Well, all right. We'll get started. Now, the two over here know who I am, and I'm not sure anybody else knows who I am, but I'm Karren Napier, and I am a professional psychic. We call them intuitives now instead of psychics. You know, a long time ago, they used to call us fortune teller, card readers. They call us gypsies. They call us, lots of things, but now it's more a professional intuitive. And I've been that way all my life, but have decided to come out of the psychic closet about 20 years ago, and it just landed big time. And one of the things that I did was I decided if I was going to do it, I needed to get some training. So I enrolled in a class in Texas, Austin, Texas, and went down and studied with a lady from Chicago. And while I was down there, Sonia Choquette, who's written lots of books, and then I came back and she got me under a shaman out of St. Louis. And then I had a shaman here. Her name was Karren Sharp. And then, and then I went into Akashic Records. So I'm pretty well rounded in all the things that I do. As Duffy and Winter, you know that very well because they hear about it all the time. But I'm a medium. I use clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient the same way. I hear, I see, I smell spirits. I mean, there's not much I can't really do. So one of the things that I put together, I started a series before Christmas, and Joyce was very good to me and let me come and teach about what about me, what about us. In other words, I wanted to tell more about you because you're as psychic and intuitive as everybody else. One of the things that we know is everybody is actually psychic. If you think about it, everybody has intuition. Some people are like, with their intuition, like Chopin. They can really run it. And some people play the piano like with just chopsticks. And that's some of those, okay? So that's kind of being said, you're in the way, but that doesn't mean that you can't improve upon what you already have. So tonight we're going to talk about, it's called Let Go of Negativities, because the negativities are what keeps your intuition from happening. Now, one of the things that there's a left brain and a right brain, and your left brain is your analytical. That's what you've gone to school with. That's what people that has when you're taught first grade, kindergarten, all the way through college, you're taught how to analyze, but you're not taught how to use your intuition. Okay, your left brain and your right brain, and it's the side of your brain. It's not a brain, sorry, because we have 4 different kinds of brains. But the left side of this brain, you know all your numbers, you know your names, you know how to analyze. On the right side, you don't. That's your intuition. And what happens is, you're the boss of you. You sit at a table, a conference table, and when you sit at that conference table, you can let the chatterbox left brain talk to you, or you can let the right brain talk to you. And the two things need to work together, because sometimes when you're sitting at that conference table, you can look over to and you hear your chatterbox just going on and on and on and on and on and on and on, and you don't need to hear that anymore. You really need to have that quiet right brain come in. So tonight, we're going to do some things called Let Go of Negativity. Now, we've been through a real rough time in the last 3 or 4 months of a lot of negativity. Now, I'm going to tell you that when you're stressed, when you're upset, when you're angry, when you're sad, when you're anxious, you're feeling negative, you aren't calm, you aren't centered, and you're not in control of your own thoughts, or you know what I'm talking about. It's just, everything's broken loose. You're off balance. As soon as you recognize that, your intuition cannot break through there. Today, we're going to talk about that voice of intuition is so quiet that you have to be able to do something totally different in order to get there. Now, one of the things that I did for a class, of course, that's not here, but it's on record. There's several different things from different people. I'm going to read you what's on the first sentence strip. It says, you will never follow your own inner voice until you clear up the doubts in your mind. Now, Mr. Roy T. Bennett said that. Now, one of the things about Mr. Bennett is he's right. One of the things that I found out is that you can't clear up those doubts because 80% of what you hear is negative all day long. 80%, so says the happy expert. Can you imagine? 80% is what's going through your mind at all times. So the thing about it is, you're saying, well, now wait a minute here. If I'm supposed to listen to my intuition, I'm supposed to trust it. I'm supposed to listen to this authentic, wise voice. I'm supposed to know what's right for me. This is what intuition does. Your feelings has a lot to do with it. Your body responses. Sometimes you tremble. Sometimes your body hurts. Sometimes that ability of intuition goes beyond logic. So if you are so negative that you cannot get through to your intuition voice, what are you going to do? So tonight, we're going to figure out, if you hear all this stuff, how can you shut it up? How can you bring out the intuition? How can you bring out what you can work with? Now, it gives us a bigger picture. Remember when something happens and you have this aha moment? Well, that aha moment is your intuition coming through. And if you know how to do it, then that's what's going to happen. However, it's not always there because you've turned loose. And as we've said, he says that you've drowned it out by all the negativity. You've given the negativity the ability to ring your doorbell. And when I say you've given them the ability, you think about it. What did we just say? All right, think about it. Calm, centered, stressed. How many times all day long do you feel stressed, or et cetera, et cetera? Now, Eckhart Tolle brought out the next one. Are you ready for this? He says, and this is what's the kicker, the primary cause of unhappiness is never the situation, but your thoughts about it. Well, now let's think about that for just one moment, because your thoughts about it are the one that's going to tell you, wait a minute, do you mean to tell me that I'm viewing this situation in a different way? Yeah, you're supposed to turn over the thought and look behind the thought and say, well, what do you mean? Have you ever made an impulsive decision when you're angry or stressed and regretted it later? Wow. Please don't take that developing your intuition is about suppressing and denying all those emotions. In other words, it's okay to have those emotions. The psychologists tell us, don't suppress anger, let's get it out of there. Don't negate what you're feeling, but you've got to recognize it's there. And as soon as you recognize it's there, you can do something about it. But it's staying in that present moment, that self-awareness, that's crucial for you. Now, all right, if that's true, then I need to look on the other side of the coin. I need to look in the gift in the garbage. Because garbage just happens. And it's there all the time. 80% of what you think is negative. It could be garbage. So if that be the case, what about the Andrew J. Bernstein? Now, this is what he says about it. Negative thoughts stick around because we believe them. We believe them. Not because we want them, or we choose them. They tell us the reason that the happiness expert tells us that the 80% of those negative thoughts that are running through your brain is because it's genetically predisposed, because when you went to the outside of the cave as a caveman, you had to have that intuition to tell you what's going to be out there for you today. In other words, you had that same innate ability that the dogs, the cats, the animals of the world going, something's gone, something's wrong. So that's that negative thought, something's wrong. So you are genetically predisposed to do this. This is just, you don't realize it until you realize that negative thoughts stick around because you believe them. Well, all right. All right, then are we going to, not because we want them or choose them, but it's our belief system. Now, tonight, it's your belief system about negative thoughts. I mean, it's your belief system. Not mine, but yours. I'm not the boss of you. Nobody's the boss of you but you. You're the boss of you. And what you believe is your belief system. I'm not trying to change you. You're going to change yourself. Because the belief is, oh, I'm having a bad day. Bingo. Yes? If you believe you're having a bad day, guess what's going to happen to the rest of your day? Yep, you're going to have the rest of the day. Also, have you ever heard the old saying, Grandma said, birds of a feather flock together? Which means that if you put out a negative, you're going to get back a negative. You put out a positive, you're going to get back a positive. You're going to draw it to you. Well, the thing about it is, if these negative thoughts stick around because we believe them, not because we want them or choose them, all of a sudden we've had this, oh, we believed them. Now let's talk about your belief system for just a moment. Your belief system is, you got it from your mom and dad. You got it from your family. You got it from the culture you live in. You got it from everything that's happened to you in this lifetime. And believe it or not, if you're a believer of past lives, there's some issues with past lives that are also helping you to believe what you had to come and do for in this lifetime. So the thing about it is, if your past life were sick, you might bring that sickness over on this lifetime so you can figure out what to do with it. We don't know that so much about that. But remember, it's your belief system. If you don't believe in past lives, you're certainly not going to believe that. But if it's your belief system that there's something there about cancer, why do they always, everybody that I've had friends who've had cancer, one of the things they've always gone back to and found out from their counselor and their teachers and their doctor is cancer is an anger disease. And so they help people who have cancer turn loose a lot of that anger so they can get better and do healing. Now, another thing is they stick around because we believe them and we choose them. One of the things is, the reason I didn't accept it was that I listened to my negative thoughts rather than my intuition. That's the gift in the garbage. Because every time you have something to flip over, you can look on the back side of the coin and find the gift in the garbage. Let's go to the next one. It says, how in the world can I stand above negativity and dare to conquer toxic thoughts? Well, first thing you got to do is be present. You got to figure out if that's a negative thought that's coming through. If you're not present and you're stumbling around in the day, and all of a sudden you look up, it's noontime, and you've had all this stuff has happened to you, and you're going, where'd I get that? I mean, you just weren't present. You've just been all consumed by your thoughts and never are present to realize they were negative. Nobody told you they were negative. You have to come up with that idea. All right? You've made an intention tomorrow to get up and say, I'm going to start recognizing my negative thoughts. And if you're going to recognize your negative thoughts, what does that mean? Well, the first thing I did was, when I got up this morning, and the first thing I thought is, oh, darn, I forgot to let the cats out. Or, oh, darn, I didn't feed them the right way. Or, oh, darn, I forgot to. I mean, look at that right now. I'm already getting myself prepared to, this isn't good. This isn't good. What happened here? And the next thing I find out, then something else is not good. And then something else is not good. Now you have to forgive yourself for thinking that and learn that your lesson, because by golly, you're not going to be able to, you're not going to be able to do anything about it because you've got some roadblocks. Not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves. Interesting, isn't it? I'm lost because I believe that my thoughts are always good. But I find myself saying something and I'm going, oh, wait a minute. I need to turn this around. I need to say, I can't do that. What do you mean I can't do that? You're programming your subconscious to believe you can't do that. You're programming to believe somebody has told you can't do it. And you believed it. Well, golly gee, where did I get that thought? Well, like I said, it could come from your family, it could come from you, it could come from an experience. It doesn't matter, because in order to stand above negativity, you have to conquer your toxic thoughts. Okay? Now, one of the things that I'll give you my personal, just since I'm the only one here to give an example to, I'll give you something that I always have taught my students, and that is, I have to use this formula. P period, A period, M period, and it is P period. P is pause. That's the first thing. A is ask. What can I do? If, okay, I'll give you a for instance. I have a problem with a roof. What can I do to get this roof on high center? Because I need to get a roofing company in here. So I pause, P. I ask, what can I do? The first thing I teach my students is I'm going to put that ask in an imaginary helicopter that circles around my head. Now, this is funny. You can put it in a suitcase. I don't care. You can put it in the helicopter. But the problem I have is, how am I going to find a roofer? So I said, okay. I put it in my helicopter. And I said, okay, it's up to you, God. It's up to you. It is. I don't know where to look. I mean, why don't you let me know about stuff like this? Well, and so I said, okay. There was the first thing I found. There was this little saying. It just popped out of a book at me. Now listen to this. I put it on my makeup table, and it says, and this morning, it happened last August, right after I had to turn the claim into the insurance company about my roof. The little thing says, good morning. This is God. I'm handling all your problems today. I do not need your help. Go and have a good day. And I went, I'm going to try that on the roof. Man, I cut that thing out. I pasted it on a 3x5 card. I put it on my makeup table. And every morning I looked at that since last August the 8th, when I decided that I needed help with a roof problem. And every day I had to do that. And so finally I said, and from that point on, things began to fall into place. I found a roofer. I called this roofer. I called three roofers. Nobody called me back. This one person showed up. My roofer that I'd been using he said, it's too big of a job for me. I can't do it. So as I go on, I do that with every problem now. Not just a roofing problem, but every problem I have. Okay, Sherry and I on Monday, I think, or Monday before, I told Joy, as I said, I don't think we have very many people coming in class. And Joy says, well, why don't we Zoom it? And I'm going, I don't know anything about Zoom. What are we going to do? Where's my garbage here? I'm going to do it. And I said, okay. We'll go back there, put your eye makeup on, look at that little thing, and said, somebody else is going to take care of this problem. And darn it, it did. It started happening. I mean, I needed a computer person. I woke up in the middle of the night with a voice saying, Sherry. And Sherry Stevenson became one of my computer person. And she comes on Mondays at 1 o'clock. I love her to death. I can't live without her, It's like, every time I have a problem, I put it in that helicopter and I back off. And I just let somebody else take care of it for me. Now, does it come right away? Well, heck no. Sometimes you have to have a little more patience about it. But I want you to know there will be a newspaper pop in with an article. There'll be somebody walk up to me and say the same thing. It's because your intuition knows what's best for you. And it is the quiet voice. Now, I used to teach at Francis Tuttle, and it was real interesting. One of the soft skills I would teach is how to get along with your supervisor, how to do this, how to do that. Those were the soft skills workshop that I taught. And one of the things was you are supposed to let it go. You are supposed to say, how can I do this? And, did that. And those kids would look at me and say, I didn't tell them about God. Of course not. In school, you don't talk about God. But I would say, if you're concerned, then you need to go talk it out with somebody. But then you need to step back and let's get the gift in the garbage and let's put it back there. Now, those kids they'd say, okay, we're going to listen to you until... And they would. And I'd say, okay, let's work it this way. One of these kids came up to me and he said, Miss Napier, I can't do word perfect when it first came out. And I said, you can't? Why, Gary? And he said, I don't know, but I'm flunking all the tests over there. And the teacher called over, and I was in the help center there at Francis Tuttle, and I said, okay, Gary. Well, I'll be darned. All of a sudden, I said, Gary, I just went to a workshop last week, and I learned about haptic learning. I'm going to test you and see if you're a haptic learner. And sure enough, that's what he was. And one of the things I said, how do you read? What do you read? Now, this is a 28-year-old kid who dropped out of high school. And he said, I love auto magazines. And I said, oh, really? And I said, and how do you read them? He said, I lay across my bed at night and read them. He's on his stomach. Well, the haptic learner is one of those who has to have a big body type movement or on their stomach like that. Anyway, and so I said, why don't you do this? Bring your Word Perfect book, put it on my footstool, in my office, get on the floor, read what you need to read on Word Perfect, and go back to the computer and there in the Learning Center and do it. And this is the way he would come and stay with me for an hour and a half, 2 hours. He did it. He passed Word Perfect. Now, where did that come from? That I found out that kid needed it. It came from my intuition. We had another one, a 28-year-old woman, and she couldn't spell. She didn't have, and it's the same way. It's the same thing when you all work with your own kids. When you work with whatever, all of a sudden you'll have that aha moment that something will click. That's your intuition. Not only do we learn about intuition, but think about this. Your intuition comes to you in certain ways. Everybody has a gift. You either see your intuition or you hear a voice. You see a picture in your head. You hear a voice. You feel something. Have you ever gone someplace? I'll give you an instance on this one. During this coronavirus thing, you're supposed to you're supposed to go out to the grocery store. And of course I put on my mask and I went. I went to Natural Foods. And I sat in my car and I said, okay, I'm going to go in there. Now, there's not very many people in there because there are not very many people out here. But is this a dangerous place for me to go at this point? The voice inside my head, because I've trained my intuition to come through as a voice. I've worked with this. And they said, nope, go on in. I said, okay. So I had my mask on. I had to get a couple of things and some particular yogurt I like. And I had my little basket, and I was going down through the big vitamin aisle, down over by, back behind, over by the bathrooms, by the whatever. And then all of a sudden, my whole body turned ice cold. Well, that's a sign, a discernment symbol for me that there's a spirit there. Somebody wants to talk. You've got discernment symbols from your body, but you haven't figured it out yet. Or maybe you have. I asked one of my friends, and she said, yeah, I know if it's right or not. My arm hurts. So your body never lies, but you've got to figure out your discernment symbol. Now, are we going to have that? Yeah, we're going to have a class, or we're going to have some things on discernment symbols, you bet. So here I am in the Natural Foods, and I'm going down through there. And all of a sudden, I'm so cold, and I said, who's here? There's a spirit here. I know there's a spirit here. Because if I walk through like I walk through a refrigerator, I know that spirit is there. And that spirit said, I said, you want to talk? Yes. And what do you want to say? This was the most peculiar thing I've ever heard one of my spirits say. It said, get the hell out of Dodge. Just like that, get the hell out of Dodge. I knew exactly what it meant. I put my hands on that basket. I went down and got my yogurt. I went to the thing. I paid, and I got out of that grocery store. Do I know why they said get the hell out of Dodge? No. But I followed my intuition. I did not let that chatterbox sit there and go, oh, you're just being silly. Oh, you're just doing this. Oh, no. No. Because I've trained myself to say, when I have certain discernment symbols, they mean business. Unless you pick up those messages from your body. And that's why you have to do this. You have to figure out your own roadblocks. Not until we're lost do we begin to understand ourselves. So, all too much, negative thoughts can sometimes be real painful because they will bring up things in your past life that you don't want to deal with. And if they're dark and they're ugly, visit your doctor. Go through your counselor. Not knowing the difference between intuition, anxiety, and the things that you're having flashbacks on, that's when you need to listen to your gut. Everybody's got it. It's just the difference between accepting it and thinking it. That's the only reason that it says here, stand above negativity, dare to conquer toxic thoughts. Well, what about believing in negative thoughts is the single greatest obstruction to success. Another thing, not until we are lost do we begin to understand ourselves. So said David Thoreau, which we just had a few minutes ago. Positive results never come from negative thoughts. So all these sentence strips is negative, negative, and negative. We have roadblocks, all right? And we have to listen to those roadblocks because if we are concerned, we need to understand that sometimes your body, think about it, has a headache. Where'd you get that headache? Well, maybe you've been fussing and fuming about something. What about that aches and pains in your body or in your stomach? Intuition speaks through the language of feeling and certainty. You know, intuition and fear cannot coexist. If your intuition wants to warn you to stay away from a person or situation, it won't ever do that through making fear or making you feel emotionally chaotic. I didn't fear that when it said, get the hell out of Dodge. I went, I'm believing. I'm getting there. I'm not going to argue with that. I did. It will do so by empowering you to simply know that aha moment, that gut feeling. Don't ignore it. You know as well as I do that you've ignored it, and when you've ignored it, you've regretted it later. And you can look back a zillion ways of doing that. Now, one of the things is, what can I do about this? What are some of the things? Okay. When you get all confused and muddled and it's time out, I personally believe that people who smoke are meditating. Because the technique I'm going to show you is inhale, count to 3, and exhale. Count to 3 again, or 4 or 5. And we've heard this over and over and over to calm yourself down. Inhale, let, exhale, go. Let, go. How many people many years ago would say, I got to go outside and have a cigarette? That's all you did. You went out and took a cigarette, you inhaled it, you inhaled, you blew it out, you let it go. For 10 minutes you did that. You literally was letting it go. You were meditating. You were taking a quiet moment. Well, you don't have to do it with a cigarette. I mean, you can get a candy cigarette if you want one, or get one, you don't light it, but you think about it. Now, you can do this anytime. I mean, we teach them if you're having a horrible time, go to the bathroom, sit in the stall, and just let go. Because I want you to be able to let it go and recognize it. And you can't inhale. You can't put it in a helicopter. You can't turn it over to let your voice, your intuition talk to you. You can't be patient and persistent because you got in the habit of listening to your negativity, and now you got to break that chain. So if you can break that chain, use that, let go. Now, another technique you can use is name your thoughts. In other words, I'm stupid. I am such an idiot. Why did I do that? You know, those are the things you're noticing what you're thinking. And as soon as you notice what you are ringing your doorbell, then you're going to do something about it. But if you don't notice that negative thought and turn it over and look at the coin, another thing they said is if you finally just cannot do it, they said go take a shower and say the thought in your mind to 3 blind mice. Or do it to happy birthday. I thought that was a humor. I'm going, yeah, I can see myself in the shower trying to let go of all this negativity for the day because I can't understand about this silly roof. You know, I've got all this problem with the roof. Yeah. So choose the experience that best works for you. Sometimes it runs around the block. Sometimes you have to go work it out at the gym. Sometimes you have to go put your feet on the earth. You have to get outside and walk. Sometimes you just have to have that thought. You have to go get that cup of tea and sit outside. And I know I have a friend, her name's Duffy. And every morning she takes her coffee and she goes outside and she tells everybody, you all stay in bed. I want to be up first. I do not want anybody to talk to me. I do not want to hear anything. I want to be out there when the sun comes out with my cup of coffee, and that's her meditation time. That's when she, isn't that right, Duffy?
Yes. That's when I let it all go.
And everybody in the family knows, don't go out there, Mother's out there. And don't you get up.
Yells at, that is my time. And always And I will get up at 4 in the morning if that's what it takes to do it. And it's about 45 minutes to an hour.
And when
Nice way to start the day.
And when you come to visit her, she'll tell you the night before, now don't get up early. If you hear me coming in the kitchen, she does it every day. She said, don't come in the kitchen because I don't want company. Let me take my company and go outside. That's her quiet time.
The company's so nice, they want to come visit with you. No. You stay away. I'm going to do this.
She's got good boundaries.
Yes, did you hear that? She said you had good boundaries.
On that one I do.
On that one.
Learn what she needs on that one.
Yeah, learn what you need.
That would ever upset it is some kid threw up. Then I have to go deal with that. Yeah, I do. I sit on the front porch and drink my coffee every morning, watch the sunrise.
See? That's it. That's how she does that. That's how she does her negativity. One of the things is that also that you just have to recognize if, it's so funny when I finally worked through this and I went, 80% of what I thought today was negative? Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. And then I thought, okay, now tomorrow I'm going to be aware of that negativity. If you don't stay in the present moment and you cannot listen to your negative thoughts and you get real emotional, now, I'm going to have you do something that I have not done before, but I want you to listen to what this is. 10% of what we remember or retain. Here we go. We remember or retain 10% of what we read. Only 10%. You're not reading anything tonight, so give up. You're no 10%. 20% you've heard from me tonight. That's all you're going to learn is 20% of what I'm telling you. Only 20%. But 30% of what is seen. So you're looking at me. So you've gone up a little bit now. We're going to do about 30%. What about 50%? If you hear me and you see me, you're going to get 50%. So every one of you are looking at me and you've seen me and you've heard me. But now I want you to take away more than 50%. So let's go to 70%, because 70% is what you have to say by the learner. But 90% is what is said as it is done. Now, when Joya said, I want this as an interactive class. Do you see where I'm heading? I want you all to interact. You can't interact. You're not here. So you're not going to learn 90%. But what I'm going to tell you is what you're going to do. All right? I take a pen and pencil, and I want you to take a sticky pads. If you've got sticky pads, after you write this down, I want you to take it home, and I want you to write, and let me find my sheet here. I want you to write these words, because you're doing it, you're reading it, you're seeing it, and as you write these words, you're actually saying it. So you're doing all of it. So it's 90% to bring this ritual to life. Now, the first thing, if I can find my first page here, and this was interesting.
You want us to do it here?
Yes, if you like. Here's some, you'll love it. Here, I like it. Yeah, and there's some pencils. All right. While you're doing that, let me scrounge back. Okay. The first thing I want you to do, if you don't have a sticky pad, I just put it on a sheet of paper, and you will do this. And when we get through, you can put it on a 3x5 card, because you can put it on your desk on a 3x5 card, or you can put it on a sticky pad. You've got a sticky pad, and on one sticky pad, I want you to write this word, stressed, S-T-R-E-S-S-E-D. I want you to do on the second sticky pad, not on the same one, I want you to write upset. U-P-S-E-T. The third one, I want you to write angry. Now, I want you to say these words in your head as you write them down or say it out loud. Because what did I just tell you a while ago? 90% is you have to verbalize it while you're doing it.
Yes.
See? You have to verbalize it. In other words, you got to say it as you're doing it. All right? The next one was, what was the last one? Upset? Angry, sad. All right, the next one on the sticky pad is sad.
Sad.
Mm-hmm. The next one is anxious.
Anxious.
A-N-X-I-O-U-S, anxious. The next one is feeling negative. The next one is I am not calm.
I am not calm.
Calm, right. The next one on the sticky pad is I am not centered.
We can make that on each page.
Yes. You're going to have 12 sheets or 6 sheets or whatever. The next one is I am not in control. Remember, you keep saying these to yourself. Yes, I'm not in control. All right? Something is missing. Now, on the last one, say something is off balance. Okay? Now, those words on the sticky pad, or if you use a 3x5 card, you can put them on your desk. But on the sticky pads, I want you to put them on your mirror when you get home. And if you put them on any mirror, your makeup mirror where you brush your teeth, I don't care. Put them on a mirror. Just scatter them around. And when you get up in the morning and you start to brush your teeth, I want you to look at this and say, I'm going to be aware of any of this today. I want you to be present in examining your negative thoughts. Because what did I say? 90% of what you say out loud and what you do, and that means that you're going to be do by the learner. You are the learner. You're the one who's going to have to say, I'm going to make it aware today. And as soon as that thought comes by, you go, aha. Aha. There's a negative thought. Now what am I going to do? Okay, turn it around. Find the gift in the garbage and say, instead of saying, it's bad, it's good. What can I make that sentence that just rode through my head? How can I make it say something better? How can I say, get the word, because you are programming your subconscious. Every negative thought is being programmed into your subconscious. And it's natural. We do this. Negative comes through as natural. All right? So then, after you do that, that's believing in your negative thought is your greatest obstruction to success. We talked about that already. Remind yourself that just because you think something does not mean you have to believe it or live it. Live it. Thinking something does not make it real. By letting go of these thoughts, they won't clog your mind. Keep your mind relaxed and open. Remember, if you're under stress and you've got a problem, pause, Let's ask that problem. If you have to go write it down, put it on a sticky pad, but put it in that imaginary helicopter, or put it in that imaginary suitcase, and say, that's that negative right there, there. It's over there. I'm not thinking that thought again today. I'm just not going to do it. Now, I'm teaching you tonight for only one thing: let go of negativity. The next class I'm going to be teaching is let go of positive. And we go, what? You'll have to come back to class to figure that one out. Because positive is what we've always said. Oh, let's turn it into the positive realm. Oh, but there's a difference there too. Just stop thinking, I'm stupid. I'm dumb. I shouldn't have done that. I'm going to fail. I'm a failure. I had that. I mean, something happened to me because I have 6 women coming tomorrow. And I got out these wonderful little candies that I had been rat-holing back for my Mahjong group. And I've had them for probably 6 months, maybe a year. And I thought, I'm going to serve them tomorrow. I'm walking through the kitchen with this little box of, they look like little hedgehogs. Cutest things you've ever seen. I'm just tickled to death to put them at each plate tomorrow. Dadgummit. Somehow I stumbled. I did something, and when I did, I know what it was. I didn't stumble. I had the box, and I had reached for the box, and instead of reaching for the whole box, apparently I picked the lid up, and the whole box fell on the floor. And I mean, those candies went every which way, and I was so mad. And I went to the pantry to get the broom and clean up my mess, and I kept saying, I'm so stupid. That's the dumbest thing I've ever done. It's just dumb. On the way back, I am on my hands and knees with the little brush and the little thing, picking all that up, and I went, whoa, wait a minute. What is this? The whole candy box was full of little bugs. And I went, I'm not dumb and stupid after all. You know what I did? The next thing I said, and this is your next thing you learn to, is gratitude. I said, thank you, Board of Directors. Now, Board of Directors is my spirit team. That's what I talk, my spirit team is Board of Directors. Thank you, Board of Directors, because I would have served those women with those little things, with those little weevils inside them. Instead, when I did that, I said, thank you. I'm not stupid. I'm so grateful to you for showing me to throw these hedgehogs away. And I did. I walked over to the trash, come back to throw them away. Do you see the difference in your thinking from negativity to gratitude? As soon as you tell your intuition, your right brain, you're grateful for the answer they gave, thank you. By golly, that intuition brain, he goes, she likes me. She's listening to me. I'm going to give her more information. And believe it or not, it happens. Because 10 years ago, when I came out of the psychic closet, one of the things I learned was this thing right here. And ever since, when I go gratitude, maybe I better think this one twice. Because there's some reason. And I'm learning through those negative thoughts to be positive. And remember, the formula I gave you was PAMP. Pause, ask, and then put it in there. Put it in your memory. Put it in your helicopter. Pause, ask. And then that you have actually put it there for them to work on that question for you. And then at the very end, you proceed after they come back and give you the message. The M stands for message. Pause, P period, A period, M is the message, equal P. Now, you may believe in God, you may not believe in God. You may believe in a creator, you may not believe in a creator of all that is. But I guarantee you that when you woke up, when you were first born, you have a guardian angel. And that guardian angel will do lots and lots and lots of things for you. But you have to say thank you, thank you, thank you. You have to do that because they can only talk through many times they only talk through your way. Some people, they talk through your body image, and they talk because you're hurting. That's trying to give you a message. Some people, they talk through your mind, if you're a mental intuitive. Some people, they talk right here through your gut. You get a feeling right there. Some people, they get a thing in their head. They get that message in their head. Don't do it. Just like it said to get the hell out of Dodge. Okay. I never did find out why. But by golly, I believed him because it was a massive message for me. My whole body got really cold, like I walked through an iceberg, and then I got that verbal message. I know to listen to that verbal message. So when you decide you want to do more with your psychicness and more with your intuition, then you're going to learn how to do discernment symbols. You're going to learn how to listen, or you're going to learn how to see your pictures in your mind and believe those messages. Now, positive results never come from negative thoughts. They aren't going to go away. We've talked about how do I connect, use your breath work, smoke your imaginary cigarette if you have to, but do something that gets you to stop and inhale and let go. Stop, inhale, and let go. Because it's up to you to decide what you want to do with your negativity. And remember, there's all kinds of different ways for you to become psychic, for you to enhance your intuition. I'm going to give you the name of a book that I believe it's called The Intuitive Way by Penny Pierce. And it's spelled Penney. She spells it real funny. Pierce, Peirce. I started with her many years ago, and she's got 3 or 4 books out. And in fact, one of her books right now is talking exactly what's happening in the world today. Because it's not only is it, she wrote one on the intuitive way, she wrote one on perception, she wrote one on, I'm trying to think of all of them, and I just reached over and picked it up off of my reading room, and there it was. It told all about how the vibration of the earth is changing and why is all this turmoil that we're in. It had to do with that. So if you start with the intuitive way, she'll tell you about your left brain. She'll tell you about your right brain. She'll tell you about your subconscious and your conscious and your superconscious mind. And each one of you have gifts and talents to your intuition. And if you learn to start recognizing it and say, oh, thank you, I'm glad I did. I was really mad about dropping those candies, but by golly, it wasn't long. It wasn't 5 minutes. I was sitting on there going on my knees, picking up those boll weevils and saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. I would have served it to those ladies. And I didn't. So, you just, and look what we've been through this last 2 months. March, April, May, the virus. A lot of negatives coming through. Now, Penny Pierce was the one who taught me that you actually feel with your body a lot of negativity. You may feel negativity from other people. If you're an animal lover and you work with animals, you're a very big empath. Okay? Empath, E-M-P-A-T-H. An empath means that you are picking up the vibes from all those animals. If you're picking up the vibes from those animals and you're able to communicate, whether you're communicating with a bird, a butterfly, a tree, or a cat or a dog, you're an empath. You pick that up. And the negativity coming through right now, you're picking up, all of a sudden you feel very sorry. All of a sudden you are sad. All of a sudden, it may not be you. it may be what you're picking up the event wave of what's happening in the United States today or in the world. So be aware that this may not be your emotion, okay? It may be event waves of what's happening. Now, we're getting ready to have, we've had lots of marches lately and a lot of unrest going on. So you may be feeling kind of funny. You may have thought, I don't feel good today. I feel very sad today. Whatever, It may not be you. It may be something of the event wave that's happening. Now, I've told this story before, but Penny Pierce was the one who taught me in one of her books about event waves. And my friend and I went to Washington, D.C., and we couldn't find where we were going, and we went into a boot store, and we're sitting there, and I thought, ooh, that's a cute little set of boots. I think I want to try those boots on. And so this lady came in, and she sat down across from me, and she was going to try on some boots, and she got to asking me and this friend I was with her, and I said, yeah, and she said, well, where are y'all from? I found out when you go to Washington, D.C., everybody wants to know where you're from because nobody lives in Washington, D.C. I think we're all supposed to be there from someplace else. And so I said, oh, we're from Oklahoma City. She said, you are? Do you know where Edmond is? I said, yes. She said, well, my relatives live in Edmond. I said, really? And she said, yeah. And she said, well, what are you here for? And I said, well, my friend's a palmist, and I'm a psychic, and we were kind of told to come here because we have a little project that needed to be done. And she said, really? She said, well, maybe I'm supposed to meet with you. And I said, why is that? And she said, now this was back in about, I'm going to say 2000, and it was after all that stuff happened in New York City where the plane went into the tower. And she said, it was about 3 or 4 years later, she said, well, I have a story to tell you, and maybe that's why you're here to hear my story. And I said, okay, let's hear it. And she said, I'm driving down the highway, and I get to in this place and near the Pentagon. She said, now my husband and we're in the Navy, and we're stationed here, and we work in the Pentagon, and I'm driving down the Pentagon, and all of a sudden, I'm having a heart attack. I pull over and call my daughter and said, there's something wrong. I'm really having a heart attack here. And she said, okay, Mom, I'll come and if next, we'll call 911. But anyway, she said, my daughter got here. We got me to 911. We got her to the emergency room, and they couldn't find anything wrong with her. She said that the place where I pulled over that day, at that particular time, 24 hours later, that airplane went into the Pentagon right there. And I said, Penny Pierce would call that an event wave. And you picked it up, the event, before it was to happen. You picked up the shadow because of any major catastrophe, the event wave happens. That's part of your intuition. If you learn how to do it with your body or your mind and you say, this is not me, there's something wrong. I'm healthy. Why would I be having this? And she went to, probably her blood pressure wasn't even high. But the thing about it, Penny Pierce says, the event wave happens before actually the event happens. And if you're one of those intuitive people who pick it up with their bodies, then that could very well be it. So be aware that odd things happen that we think of as odd, but your body didn't think of. That's part of the intuition. So one of the things is on your negativity, you're going to find out that as soon as you become aware of it, you can stop it, you can turn it around, you can make it positive, but you can also know that when you do, you can use your let go, put it in the helicopter, PAMP, and you also can turn it around and say, thank you, thank you, thank you, because somebody's helping you out. So start listening to that right brain. because that right brain wants to talk to you. And if you have to, tell that left brain to shut up. You're the boss of you. You sit at that conference table, and you get to say who's going to talk that day. So, yeah, it's up to you, and it's your belief system. If you believe that you don't have the right to say that, then you won't do it. If you believe that you're stupid, you are. Somebody's told you along the line you probably were stupid, and you picked it up. Just like I thought I was stupid today. Dumbest thing I've ever done. It wasn't the dumbest thing I've ever done. There was a reason. So be grateful for all those things. Are there any questions before we stop for the night? Anything? Anybody want to ask questions?
I have a question.
What?
If you have pick up stuff with your body, because I struggle with this, and discover that it is this wave,
Wave.
it can obviously be very dangerous for a human being, because I was having severe heart problems. And they ultimately found nothing really wrong except really high blood pressure. And so, but what can you do to say, okay, you've got to get it out of your body so that it doesn't do permanent harm? What do you do?
Okay, there are many things you can do. Number one, you can go to a massage therapist, and Joyce, you can step right in here. You can go to a massage therapist and have them work on you. You can go to shamans and see if you have attachments. You can also take a lot of baths with Epsom salts. That gets some of the stuff out of the way. You can find a ritual that works for you. Joyce, you want anything else you want to add to that one? Because you do that a lot, don't you?
Right. Sometimes if it's just an initial wave that you're feeling, then I just do what you say, breathe and be aware of the emotion or whatever you're feeling and let it move through you.
Right.
It's like taking the breath and letting it move through you. But yeah, any of those other choices are good also.
But you have to figure out. And one of the things I do, that's where my intuition comes in. I go to a quiet moment, Duffy, and get real quiet and say, nobody's around. I just sit there and I go, okay, I want to talk to my intuition. I want to talk to my right brain. I don't want to hear the left brain, chatterbox. I want to hear that right brain. And if I want to hear that right brain, is this me or is this something from somebody else? Whether it's me or right brain or somebody else, sure, you got to get rid of it. Yes, you can. But you also figure out if it's not me real quick and it's somebody else, then you know how to get rid of it. Then you start doing things like going, I go to I go outside and sit on the ground, sit under a tree, let it go, and just go through your mind. I mean, and just say, just imagine this light coming down through your head and go all the way down to your feet and through your feet into the ground and turn that stuff loose. Let it go to the ground. Actually, it doesn't matter if you're imagining it or not. It works. It literally works because it's getting out of there. You become body aware of it. You become the energy of your body. I mean, you notice what you're noticing. It's always the best thing to do is notice what you're noticing. If you're noticing some bad energy, then get it out of there and let it go. Go stomp your feet. Stomp your feet 2 or 3 times. Yes, and people, go through a fit. Just like a 2-year-old, go through a fit. It's okay. Nobody's going to be around to see you, but get it out of there.
Oh, someone will see. Sure.
Well, that's all right. They can say that crazy old lady, she doesn't know what she's doing down there.
Then they put me in the home.
Yeah.
Which is a good place to be. It's not bad.
So,
All right. Well, thank you, because I had this. You helped me because I was having trouble last fall.
yes,
And then I talked to you, and she's told me about this way, and I'd never heard that before. And I've been to
has it,
doctor and therapist and all this.
see,
When she said the way, and I said that's the only thing that makes sense.
right,
But the thing is, you get in it and you go, I can't get out of this. And Karren, bless her heart, said, "Oh, you were picking up this COVID stuff
uh-huh.
because it was just before that happened."
Right,
And so, and what was interesting, once the COVID stuff struck, I got calm. And I think that's because, oh, it is here. Okay. Interesting. Interesting thing. All right. See, I've been around Karren so much. We're talking like,
it does work. I know, and you know, it's weird. You know, people who are not non-believers sometimes just think we're crazy as little hoot owls, but they need to try it before they need to try it. I mean, you can do drumming, you can play the piano, you can take a shower, you can do, but you got to make sure that you're conscious of what you're letting go of. It doesn't matter what ritual you do, is you got to say, I'm letting go, I'm letting go. Get out of here. Go out the bottom of my feet, you know, I don't care. But you've got to be conscious of your negative thought that's in your head.
Carla McLaren has a technique called conscious complaining, which I like.
Ooh, good.
And basically, you know, sometimes when we start repeating that whole cycle, or you're repeating the story or whatever over and over in your head, what she says to do, you can either go to a person that is, you know, that is not going to tell you what to do, but that you can just spit it all out on, so you're verbalizing it on. Or she says, which I like, is just going to a bush or a tree or somewhere. She says even have an altar in your house, which is a conscious complaining altar. And you just spew it all out in that altar, so you're just like getting rid of it. Which, for some reason, that keeps coming up in my head, so I guess I'm supposed to share it for somebody.
That's good. And you know what? You remember the psychologists say you write it in a letter,
Right,
and then the witch says burn it.
right,
Then you turn it loose,
Right.
or you put it into pieces and throw it to the wind.
right.
You know,
Different ways.
because there's different ways of letting it go. Because if you put it in a conscious thought and you write it down on a piece of paper, there you go. Is that 90% what you said and done? Then you can get rid of it.
Right.
So yeah, good question, Duffy. Thanks.
thank you very much.
You're welcome. And there's more to come, because like I said, this is all about what about you. So we're learning about negativity. Next time we're going to learn about positive. That's going to be real fun. How in the world how can you let go of positive? Well, we're going to find out about that. So, thanks for coming, guys.
And that'll be the third Thursday of July.
Third Thursday of July. Okay.
Third Thursday of July. Okay,
Yeah, we can do that.
Thursday of July.
Okay.
All right.
All right, and remember, take your stickies, put them on the mirror, because it's 90% of what you just, and when you do, say it. So, because you're going to run across it. That's getting rid of some of that negativity. Okay?
Really good.
All right. Thanks for coming.
Bobby.
Bye,
Goodbye,
Bob.
Sherry.
Bye.
Bye.
Nice to meet you guys.
All right. Sounds good.